Tonight on NewsWatch, surprise on the campaign trail. Rick Santorum steps aside, leaving Mitt Romney an open road to the nomination.
Plus, a huge drop in teen pregnancy. Rates are the lowest in more than 70 years. What's behind this dramatic decline?
And a time for prayer. North Korea threatens another missile launch, and Christians in the South are calling on God to end the brutal regime. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Rick Santorum is calling it quits. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lee Webb.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. Republican presidential contender Rick Santorum, the strongest challenger to frontrunner Mitt Romney, is out of the race. The former Pennsylvania senator made the announcement to supporters in Gettysburg today.
Miracle after miracle. This race was as improbable as any race that you will ever see for president. I want to thank God for that, and I want to thank all of you. Thank all of you across this country for what you have given, well, hopefully not just me and our family, but what you've given, which is a voice to those who are in many cases voiceless. While this presidential race for us is over for me, and we will suspend our campaign effective today, we are not done fighting. We are going to continue to fight for those voices, to fight for the Americans who stood up and gave us that air under our wings that allowed us to accomplish things that no political expert would have ever expected.
Santorum won 285 delegates, a distant second to Romney's 661. Last week, he lost primaries in Wisconsin, Maryland, and the District of Columbia. And he appeared to be facing a tough fight in his home state of Pennsylvania. Romney congratulated Santorum on his campaign, calling him an able and worthy competitor. Meanwhile, Newt Gingrich says he's staying in the race. Senior political reporter David Brody joins us now for more on this latest development. David, Rick Santorum had a strong appeal to evangelicals and Tea Partiers. Will they go to Romney now?
Well, I think it's an open question. I think a lot of them obviously will. I think the real question, Wendy, is what happens in the general election as it relates to what I like to call the T-evangelicals, those Tea Party, those evangelical voters. You put them all together, and then, sure, a lot of them are going to vote for Romney, but there's a lot of folks that are on the fence. And it's those voters that Romney has to be concerned about. And so at some point, Romney is going to have to engage with the social conservatives, the evangelicals, the Tea Party. He's done none of that, Wendy, none of that whatsoever in the primaries. We'll see if he does it come the general election. If he does, he's got a good shot at winning in the general election. If he doesn't, he could be the John McCain of 2012, which means lukewarm support from evangelicals.
Interesting. Now, Santorum's 3-year-old daughter, Bella, was recently hospitalized. What role did that play in his decision?
Well, I definitely think there was a role that Bella played in all of this, in the sense that, you know, look, I mean, she's got a rare genetic disorder. It is something that is very much touch and go many times, that the Santorums have definitely experienced this. And so, look, I mean, I think what they did is over the weekend, they sat around the kitchen table and they looked at not just the political issues, but also the family issues. You know, Rick Santorum's always been about family, and they looked at Bella's condition and said, look, is it really worth it? Because indeed, she has had some serious problems along the way. And so I think that was definitely a part of it. And let's be honest, the other part of it was that he was looking at a loss in Pennsylvania on April 24th, his home state, and that played a major role as well.
Now, some folks were hoping Santorum would drop out a long time ago. How much damage did he do to Romney by staying in so long?
Well, he did some damage. I mean, I think that's pretty clear by the poll numbers. I mean, Romney's numbers are down as it compares to President Obama. He's taking his lumps. But having said that, this is politics. And, you know, just 48 hours and everybody's best of friends, and they're talking again, and everything is, quote, hunky-dory. So, look, I mean, I think, though, this is a lot of water under the bridge at some point, and everybody will come back, and it'll be kumbaya at the convention, and at least that's the way it appears at this point.
Now, Romney, of course, he just lost his strongest challenger, but he still has some big challenges, as you mentioned. What does he need to do now, David?
Well, beyond reaching out to the conservative and evangelical communities, I really think he needs to just shore up that conservative support. I mean, I think he needs to start giving certain speeches that are going to bring in those social conservatives without coming across as this social conservative candidate, because he doesn't want to be pigeonholed that way. But I don't think that's going to be a problem for Romney, because he's just not going to go there. I think one of the big issues to watch, Wendy, is how much will he talk about his faith. He's not going to want to talk about his Mormon faith, but others are going to want to talk about his Mormon faith, especially the folks at Time and Newsweek and the Washington Post and the New York Times. We're already starting to see some of this dribble out about some of the controversial tenets of the Mormon faith. How he handles that is going to be very interesting to watch. And guess what? We'll be here to watch it.
Yes, we will. And quickly, David, Newt says he's staying in. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think he's staying in more as a conservative warrior in the sense that he wants to go to Tampa and say, look, I'm the conservative alternative to Romney. Now, of course, at this point, it's not so much I'm the conservative alternative to Romney, but I am going to actually be a guy that can articulate the true conservative viewpoints. We'll see how that plays out.
All right, an interesting day in politics. David Brody, thanks as always.
Thanks, Wendy.
The number of teen births in the U.S. has dropped to the lowest level in more than 60 years. That's according to a new report by the National Center for Health Statistics. Nearly every state saw a decline in the number of babies born to teenagers from 2007 to 2010. The rate fell 9% nationally to about 34 per 1,000 teenage girls. Arizona saw the biggest drop, down by 29%. Mississippi, though, had the highest rate with 55 teen births per 1,000 girls. New Hampshire had the lowest rate at 16 per 1,000. The rates are the lowest since 1946. Experts credit abstinence and contraception for that decline. Kristen Hawkins of Students for Life joins us now from Washington for more on this topic. Kristen, these appear to be amazing numbers. Are you impressed, or is there something behind these statistics that we're not seeing here?
Well, it was interesting when I started looking at the numbers this morning. I asked the question of, what about pregnancy rates? These are simply birth rates. This is not the rate of pregnancies for teen women. And that was concerning to me because in the past few years, since 2006, emergency contraception, Plan B, has been sold over the counter to anyone 17 and older. And we do not know what effect and how many young women are taking this drug monthly or when they get into a situation where they feel like they have to take this drug. And so it was interesting to me of what do the numbers really say when you're looking at this, because this is simply just birth rates, not pregnancy rates.
Kristen, what about the abortion rate over this period of time?
The abortion rate has risen slightly according to the Guttmacher Institute's findings. Now, the Guttmacher doesn't have all the abortion statistics, but I feel like they have the best abortion statistics out there. So it rose slightly, but it doesn't account for the decrease from 2008 to 2010 to teen birth rates. But what was interesting was we know that there's been an increase in Plan B promotion and sales since 2008 to 2010. And so the question is, how many young girls, 15 to 19, are taking Plan B? We do not know. We know in the UK, when they started measuring this, teen usage of emergency contraception more than doubled when they made it over the counter.
So what you're saying, it sounds too early to celebrate at this point. I mentioned that some of the experts are crediting contraception along with abstinence education. Have we seen a rise in the number of school districts around the country that are teaching abstinence?
Well, it was interesting when you look at the study, a lot of pro-contraception sex education folks wanted to say, well, it's because of this contraception sex education, because President Obama this year stripped out all the funding for abstinence-based sex education, because those on the left want to say abstinence-based sex education doesn't work. But it's interesting, if you look at the CDC numbers, the numbers dropped in every single state. Many states have different programs. Some use a combination, some use contraception sex ed programs, some use only abstinence sex ed programs. So no matter what program they're using, it's dropping.
Do you sense that the teenagers are waiting longer to have sex? What are the numbers on that?
Well, if you look at some of the abstinence education research that just came out, one came out at the end of March that said they're 1.5 times more likely to delay sexual intercourse after going through 8 courses in the abstinence sex education program. So they are looking at delaying it. You also have the economy factor, which the Pew Foundation reported on earlier this year about the recession, and that we know that's played an effect in overall birth rates across the country.
Kristen Hawkins, thank you for helping us understand, put these numbers in perspective for us.
Thank you.
There's news today from the world of medicine that could affect many of our viewers. It's a new weapon in the fight against America's #1 killer, heart disease. As Lori Johnson reports, the secret ingredient is found in the patient's own body.
Of all the different types of heart disease, doctors say the worst is heart failure. That's when the heart doesn't pump enough blood to the rest of the body, often resulting in death. Treatments were largely unsatisfactory until now. The University of Louisville's Dr. Roberto Bolli just completed adult stem cell treatment on 16 heart failure patients, and it worked beautifully.
It's not hype, it is really hope. I think that stem cells will likely become a routine part of our treatment of cardiovascular disease in the next few years.
Bolli took cells from a healthy part of the patient and infused them into the patient's heart, causing the regeneration of previously dead heart tissue. It means fresh hope for people with heart failure.
The University of Louisville received more than 500 new patient inquiries about the treatment.
Since Bolli's adult stem cell treatment on heart failure patients was such a success, the National Institutes of Health gave him millions to broaden his research to include patients with all types of heart disease. This is the latest in a series of breakthroughs in adult stem cell treatment. It's been used to restore vision to patients whose eyes were damaged by chemicals, treat people with leukemia, lymphoma, and other blood diseases, heal broken bones that didn't respond to surgery, create skin grafts, and more. The progress of adult stem cell treatments has outpaced that of embryonic stem cell treatment, which requires the destruction of a human embryo. According to the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, compared to adult stem cell research, work on embryonic cells is proving fruitless. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
President Obama's health care law will add at least $340 billion to the federal deficit in the years ahead. That's what a leading conservative economist predicts. Charles Blehaus is the public trustee who oversees the finances for Medicare and Social Security. He says federal accounting practices have hidden the true cost of the health care law. The president had promised that the law would cut the deficit. But the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office has also projected that it will add at least $210 billion to the deficit from now until 2021.
Wall Street continued on a downward trend today. The market fell more than 200 points at closing, making it the third triple-digit decline in the last 4 trading days. This is the longest and most severe market slide of the year. Analysts blame worry over the European debt crisis and uncertain corporate earning reports here at home.
The Miami Marlins have suspended their manager, Ozzie Guillen, for 5 games after his comments praising Fidel Castro. Guillen recently told Time magazine that he respects Castro for staying in power for 60 years despite U.S. attempts to oust him. That caused an outcry in Miami's large Cuban community, many of whom are exiles from the Castro regime. Guillen held an emotional news conference in Miami today and apologized. He called himself, quote, very stupid for talking about subjects outside of baseball. Baseball Commissioner Bud Selig said his suspension is appropriate. The Marlins released a statement saying, the pain and suffering caused by Fidel Castro cannot be minimized in a community filled with victims of the dictatorship.
Coming up, are you fuming over your tax returns? Take heart. We'll tell you how to keep more of your money.
Hi, Anthony Sullivan here for the Sticky Buddy, the sticky roller that has the power of glue without the goo. Dog hair, cat hair, spouse hair, mouse hair, cookie crumbs, kitty litter, birdseed or lint, it doesn't matter. Then just rinse it, dry it, and it's sticky all over again. It's perfect for quick cleanups and easily removes pet hair, dust, and lint from upholstery and pillows. Use it on all types of fabrics, even silk and suede, and it doesn't leave a sticky residue. Sticky Buddy has little rubber fingers that reach deep into your carpet. Use short strokes to gather the hair, then just flip it, roll it, and watch the hair stick to it. Then when it's full and dirty, just rinse it, dry it, and it stays sticky. clothes, couches, comforters or car seats, keep your interior looking new, and say goodbye to crumbs on the car seat. Then just wash it, dry it, and it's super sticky and strong all over again, saving you money. For litter boxes, it's a must. Cats and dogs will love you even more if you use it as a pet brush. The Sticky Buddy normally sells for $20. It comes with a cover, so it stays nice and clean and has a lifetime guarantee. So stop spending money on tape rollers and putting cash in the trash. Call now and you'll also get the detail size. Take it with you. It'll be there when you need it. Put it in your purse, pocket, desk drawer, or glove box. It even has a corner detailer with the same rubber fingers that gets into nooks and crannies. Same washability, same reusability, same sticky guarantee. The detail size normally sells for $10 by itself. But be one of the first to call, and you'll get both for $10. But order right now, and you can double the value. That's 2 sets of Sticky Buddies, the ones with the little rubber fingers, for $10. So call or click now.
Call 1-800-558-7521 and pick up your Sticky Buddy. But hurry, call now. We're giving away a special offer on a second set of Sticky Buddies with all of today's orders. So call 1-800-558-7521 and find out about free shipping. That's 1-800-558-7521. Call now.
3 Maryland public school workers have claimed their share of this month's record-breaking Mega Millions lottery. The winners call themselves the Three Amigos. Their winning ticket was one of 60 the group bought together. Each will take home just under $35 million after taxes. 2 other winning tickets were sold for the Mega Millions jackpot. One winner in Kansas has come forward. The third ticket was sold in Illinois, but that winner has yet to claim the prize.
$35 million. What would we do, Lee? We'd be right here. All right. President Obama is pushing Congress to raise taxes on millionaires again. He's supporting the so-called Buffett rule. The president says the wealthy should not pay taxes at a lower rate than the middle class. The plan has little chance of passing Congress, but Senate Democrats say it shows the need for economic fairness. Republicans point out that Obama's proposal would only bring in $47 billion through 2022, compared to federal deficits expected to hit $7 trillion during those years.
By the way, you were asking what you would do if you won the Mega Millions. Those public school workers say they're not quitting their jobs.
Really?
Amazingly,
good for them.
Well, doing your taxes is a daunting task, but the clock is ticking.
Yes, Wendy. It is. I need to do mine. Tax returns for 2011 are due next week. Experts have a few helpful tips that could help you save some money. Andrea Garrett reports.
This year, the IRS will process more than 140 million individual tax returns. They're due by April 17th. And if you're one of the many waiting until the last minute, e-filing may be your best option. The internet has become the go-to place for filing taxes. Research shows that 8 out of 10 American taxpayers will file their 2011 returns electronically. E-filing is faster, more convenient, and safer than filling out a paper return that can be lost or stolen. It's also more accurate and saves filers from having to start over.
I mean, if you're not doing this every single day, you look down at the stack of forms that's 1.5 feet thick, and you say, well, where do I start? You know, I can add and subtract, but where do I start?
Right.
That's the problem, and that's where the software is real helpful.
Tax experts say that when filing, it's important to make choices that save you the most money. One of those choices is whether to file an itemized return or take the standard deduction. They recommend adding up all qualifying deductions like charitable giving, medical care, mortgage interest, and other eligible items. Then take a look at the standard deduction. $5,800 if you're single, $11,600 if you're married and filing jointly, $8,500 if you're the head of household, $5,800 if you're married but filing separately, and $11,600 if you're a widow or widower. If the total credits of those itemized expenses is greater than the amount you can take as a standard deduction, then itemizing is the way to go. Finally, experts say it's important to file your taxes even if you can't afford to pay them yet. That avoids the addition of extra fees and allows you to work out a payment plan with the IRS. Andrea Garrett, CBN News.
Up next, tensions rise in North Korea as they threaten another missile test. But as the world watches, South Koreans are praying.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, call now for a new pain-free meter. These new meters are more accurate, they're easier to use, and the best news is you don't have to prick your fingers anymore. Call now, and Arriva Medical will send you one of these new meters for free. And if you have Medicare, your testing supplies may also be covered. Arriva makes it simple. They bill Medicare directly. There are no upfront costs. And they deliver your supplies right to your door for free. With these new meters, there's no coding, you don't have to prick your fingers, and some of these meters even talk.
Your blood glucose reading is 122.
And if you call 1-800-284-9762, we will send you a free Betty Crocker Diabetes Cookbook filled with delicious recipes.
Call Arriva today. You'd be glad you did.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. Do you have breathing problems like asthma, chronic bronchitis, emphysema, or COPD? Then you may qualify for Medicare coverage of your respiratory medications. To see if you qualify, call Med4Home. Med4Home is a specialty pharmacy. They offer a wide variety of respiratory medications, which may be covered under your Medicare Part B benefits. Let Med4Home's team of experts work for you. They'll work directly with your doctor. They'll deliver right to your home and call you monthly for refills and to see how you're doing. Best of all, they'll handle the Medicare paperwork for you. It's so easy. And if you have supplemental insurance, there may be little or no out-of-pocket expense. Let Med4Home's team of experts work for you. Call Med4Home now to see if you qualify. For more information, call 1-800-321-0089. That's 1-800-321-0089.
North Korea plans to launch a satellite in the next few days. North Korean leaders deny it's a cover for a missile test, but the launch is renewing concerns about the communist nation's nuclear missile plans. The event is timed for the 100th birthday of North Korea's late founder Kim Il-sung on Sunday. And now satellite images suggest the North is digging a new underground tunnel for another test on a nuclear bomb. Meanwhile, a committee for human rights in North Korea says satellite images also show more than 150,000 North Koreans are imprisoned in a Soviet-style hidden gulag. Kim Il-sung's 100th birthday will be one of the most important dates in recent history for communist North Korea.
In South Korea, Christians are using the occasion to pray for their neighbors to the north. George Thomas has more from Seoul.
It's the biggest date in the North Korean calendar.
I usually come here every year.
And for decades, they've been coming. Dressed in their finest, thousands will travel to the capital city of Pyongyang this weekend from across North Korea. They'll march up to this giant statue of Kim Il-sung and on cue, bow. This was the scene from last year's celebrations.
The Korean people will definitely build up this country into a great and powerful nation by 2012, which marks the 100th anniversary of the birth of a great leader, Kim Il-sung.
April 15th is known as the Day of the Sun in honor of Kim Il-sung's birthday. Even though he died in 1994, he's called the Eternal President and is worshipped like a god. The 100th anniversary is a significant milestone.
It makes me miss him even more strongly.
As millions of North Koreans celebrate the 100th birthday of Kim Il-sung, here in Seoul, South Korea, millions of Christians are praying that revival hits the communist nation. All week they've been meeting in churches, homes, and small groups to ask God to tear down the walls of oppression in North Korea.
The people there have suffered for so long. Something has to change. When you look at the situation in the natural, it seems impossible. But with God, nothing is impossible. We just need to keep praying.
They've also been praying for North Korea's secret believers. Peter Chung has family there. He defected to South Korea several years ago. He's also the first ever North Korean to earn a theology degree.
I have family and friends I have not seen in years. I cannot imagine what they're enduring.
Trying to get precise figures on the number of Christians in North Korea is extremely difficult. Dr. Lim Chung-ho is a professor at Kossing University in South Korea.
Based on data gathered from North Korean defectors and international human rights groups, we estimate there are approximately 30,000 Christians being held in political prison camps and about 10,000 underground believers who are in hiding throughout the country.
Peter has met several of those underground believers. He travels often to North Korea. CBN News agreed to conceal his identity to protect him. He says the persecution of Christians has intensified since the death of Kim Jong-il.
We can only pray that God will comfort and protect these believers and hope that one day they will be free to worship like the Christians in South Korea and around the world.
As North Koreans gather this Sunday for the historic anniversary, Pastor Chung is encouraging Christians worldwide to use the day to pray for God to do the impossible in his homeland.
People talk about regime change in North Korea. Yes, that may help, but that's not going to ultimately bring change. We have to pray for the leadership. We have to pray for a powerful spiritual revival to sweep across the country.
George Thomas, CBN News, Seoul, South Korea.
Up next, feathers fly in what might be the world's biggest pillow fight.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, call now for a new pain-free meter. These new meters are more accurate, they're easier to use, and the best news is you don't have to prick your fingers anymore. Call now, and Arriva Medical will send you one of these new meters for free. And if you have Medicare, your testing supplies may also be covered. Arriva makes it simple. They bill Medicare directly. There are no upfront costs. And they deliver your supplies right to your door for free. With these new meters, there's no coding, you don't have to prick your fingers, and some of these meters even talk.
Your blood glucose reading is 122.
And if you call 1-800-284-9762, we will send you a free Betty Crocker Diabetes Cookbook filled with delicious recipes.
Call Arriva today. You'd be glad you did.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. Do you have breathing problems like asthma, chronic bronchitis, emphysema, or COPD? Then you may qualify for Medicare coverage of your respiratory medications. To see if you qualify, call Med4Home. Med4Home is a specialty pharmacy. They offer a wide variety of respiratory medications, which may be covered under your Medicare Part B benefits. Let Med4Home's team of experts work for you. They'll work directly with your doctor. They'll deliver right to your home and call you monthly for refills and to see how you're doing. Best of all, they'll handle the Medicare paperwork for you. It's so easy. And if you have supplemental insurance, there may be little or no out-of-pocket expense. Let Med4Home's team of experts work for you. Call Med4Home now to see if you qualify. For more information, call 1-800-321-0089. That's 1-800-321-0089.
Well, most of the world celebrated Easter last weekend.
Yes, that's right. But in Berlin, some Germans also celebrated another holiday. Feathers flew across Berlin's Brandenburg Gate this Saturday. Nearly 500 people gathered to take part in one giant pillow fight. It's all part of a less monumental holiday known as International Pillow Fight Day. Who knew? Across the world, flash mobs gathered for 15 minutes to bash each other with soft pillows. International Pillow Fight Day started in 2008, and participants say it's been causing fights ever since. But
who cleans it up? That's the question.
Fortunately, no serious injuries have come about from this that I know of.
Yeah.
I hope not. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of NewsWatch.
Remember, you can email us your comments and questions at newswatch@cbn.com. We hope you'll join us next time.
I wish I had a pillow right now and just give you a good